Could Gojo Satoru, one of the most popular anime characters today, might actually be harming Jujutsu Kaisen? Now, before you hit that dislike button and flood the comments of how the best modern day character in anime could possibly ruin his own series, hear me out. Gojo isn't a bad character. In fact, he's exactly what we've been missing. We haven't seen a character like Gojo in anime for a while. His appeal lies in how he taps into the nostalgia of older anime fans who miss that badass mentor who has all the aura in the series. At the same time, Gojo is a refreshing figure for newer anime fans who haven't had as much exposure to characters like him, especially when compared to the mentors of the current Big 3 anime. But how does any of this relate to Gojo killing Jujutsu Kaisen? Frankly, I think he's way too strong too early in the series. In JJK, Gojo acts like a protective bubble where no one can beat him. He overcomes any challenge with ease, and he almost single-handedly nullifies any strength or feats the main cast displays. The man literally has infinity. Right from the start of Jujutsu Kaisen, we're introduced to this overwhelming character who's powerful enough to override decisions made by the Jujutsu headquarters. Despite their authority, there's almost an unspoken rule that within the presence of Gojo, everyone must comply, which even leads to leaving the greatest threats alive just to satisfy his own interests. Now let's talk about something I like to call the Gojo paradox. This is where Gojo's overwhelming power and confidence doesn't just overshadow the battles and character's growth, but also dilutes the deeper moral and philosophical themes that JJK tries to explore. Take Yuji for example. His internal struggle about the morality of killing is a big deal in the series. He's constantly wrestling with the idea of taking lives, whether it's cursed spirits that were once human or deciding who deserves to live or die. The moral dilemma is supposed to be central to his character development. Remember during his battle against Mahito, when Yuji is horrified to learn that the transfigured humans can't be saved? The weight of having to kill them hits him so hard, emphasizing the gravity of his choices and the toll it takes on his conscience. But here's where Gojo comes in and messes with that dynamic. Gojo, with his supreme power and unshakable confidence, often handles situations with such ease and detachment that it makes Yuji's moral struggles feel, well, kind of trivial. Yuji agonizes over every life he takes. Viewers know that Gojo could sweep in and solve the problem without breaking a sweat. This contrast can make Yuji's dilemmas seem less impactful, because in the grand scheme of things, they appear so insignificant next to Gojo's effortless dominance. For instance, Yuji's battle with Mahito is intense, filled with moral complexity and genuine stakes, but imagine if Gojo had stepped in early. Mahito would have been annihilated without a second thought, and all that moral tension would have evaporated. Instead of deeply engaging with Yuji's struggle, the audience might find themselves thinking, why is Yuji so worried? Gojo could handle this in a heartbeat. This diminishes the weight of Yuji's decisions, and by extension the series' exploration of moral ambiguity and the cost of power. Gojo's overpowering presence isn't entirely unique in anime. Mentor figures like All Might in My Hero Academia or Yami in Black Clover also represent a ceiling of power that the protagonists must strive to achieve. But what makes Gojo different is that he stays relevant and powerful far longer into the story, making it difficult for other characters to grow. His dominance almost stifles the potential of the younger characters, who often seem overshadowed by his overwhelming abilities. In my opinion, Gojo is a true catalyst of JJK. Some might argue that Yuji's choices drive the story forward, but I believe that's a misunderstanding. While we follow the narrative largely from Yuji's perspective, it's Gojo's decisions and actions that truly set the plot in motion and dictate its direction. Yuji might be the character we see most of the story through, but it's Gojo's choices, his pride, his belief in his own strength, and his influence over the world of Jujutsu that are the real forces propelling the story. This means that while Yuji wrestles with his own values and decisions, he's often just reacting to situations that Gojo's actions have set up. So thinking of Yuji as one of the driving forces of the narrative is a mistake. Instead, we're watching the consequences of Gojo's choices unfold through Yuji's experiences. To be honest, I don't hate this approach by Gege Akutami. It's new and something we don't often see in anime, and judging by the success of JJK, it was impressive writing. However, I think a lot of anime fans are caught off guard when they realize that the supposed main trio in JJK doesn't really see their sensei hand over the reins of the story to them. As Gojo remains supreme within the storyline, you notice a lack of significant growth amongst the protagonists. Often the training arcs and power-ups feel underwhelming. This is pretty standard anime, but in JJK, when you don't feel like you're getting that high-level return from following Yuji's story, you start to wonder, is Gojo too overpowered? Is Gojo killing Jujutsu Kaisen? A great example of this is the Kyoto Goodwill event arc. We had great battle choreography, development of friendships and rising stakes, right up until Gojo shows up. At that point, the best anyone can do in battle with Gojo is to just stay out of his way. The only way to handle how overpowered Gojo is was to ride around him. This is exactly what happened during the Shibuya incident arc, where he was sealed in the prison realm for most of the arc. In my opinion, this arc had the most character development and plot progression we've seen in the anime. It was a tipping point of JJK, especially considering where we are in the manga today. But the fact that Gege had to start this arc by sealing Gojo almost feels like an admission that he needed to ride around Gojo for the plot to unfold. This is where the stakes of every battle within JJK rose, and we began to truly understand the nature of curses and the dangers that they pose. I also think the story of JJK is much smaller in scope than what I initially imagined, especially when considering the potential threats beyond Sukuna and Kenjaku. But with the way the manga is heading, it doesn't seem like that will be the case. Looking back, I do think that a large portion of the series' potential, character development, and life or death situations have been held back by one man, Gojo Satoru. So while Gojo's power is undeniably impressive, is it ultimately a double-edged sword for Jujutsu Kaisen? Let me know your thoughts on this or anything related to JJK or anime in general in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe.